Please find your seats. Welcome to our celebration of life. I'm Wade Barball, today's facilitator, and our musicians are Craig Grayfuse, Andy Weisskopf, and Ted Devitt, and Gene Hyder. Our opening song is Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around. It's in the pink book on page 105. Please rise as you are willing and able.
I'm going to suggest that we sing 4 verses, the first 4 verses. 105. It's going to be
105.
strumming in a minute, but just so that you know where the notes are. Ain't gonna let nobody like that. Here we go. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom line. Ain't gonna let segregation turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let segregation turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom line. Ain't gonna let no police turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no police turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom line. Ain't gonna let no jail cell turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no jail cell turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching down the freedom line. Here we are.
Thank you, musicians and dancers. 6 minutes after 11 and we're dancing. Welcome to First Existentialist Congregation of Atlanta. We are a spiritual community philosophically based on existentialist and feminist principles. We are dedicated to human liberation and protection of the natural world. We make our spiritual home in the old stone church, which was hand-built more than 100 years ago by the African-American Antioch East Baptist Church. We acknowledge that racial hostility drove those African Americans from the area and we honor them and the powerful history of this place. We also acknowledge that in the 1800s, the Muskogee Creek people were driven from this land, and we support justice for all Indigenous people. Here are a couple thoughts for the day. Seek wisdom, not knowledge. Knowledge is of the past. Wisdom is of the future. And that is a Lumbee proverb. Western civilization, unfortunately, does not link knowledge and morality, but rather it connects knowledge and power and makes them equivalent. And that's from author Vine Deloria Jr., Uglala Lakota Sioux. If anyone has community announcements that they would like to be announced, you can write them down. There should be pencil and paper there on the back table, and bring them up to me, and later in the service I will read those. Are there any newcomers in the congregation today, or someone who hasn't been here for a while?
Larry Crandall, I was here back when one of your plants and I maintained the building. And it's nice to see everyone still there. I should see there's a lot of old friends I haven't seen in a long time. So glad to be back, just to visit.
My name is Judy Condor, and I've been here a lot, but I've never stood up and introduced myself because I'm actually really shy. But I'm a retired community videographer.
I work with Judy in Buckhead, and I don't think she's shy, but that's... Anyone else? Where's my program? Thank you. If you will notice at the end of the bulletin, we have this connection card, and you can fill it out and give it to us if you'd like to receive any information or share information with us, and receive the weekly e-blast that's sent out by Sarah Drew, or the monthly newsletter that's edited by Jan Liston. Are there any birthdays or anniversaries that are being celebrated this week or next? If so, please come forward. Oh, yes, let's sing. Happy birthday to Marcia. You were, what day was your birthday?
Yesterday.
And Pauline Plants yesterday.
Pardon?
Pauline's birthday was here too. I was 39.
Okay.
My mother always used that line, you know. Anyway, here we are. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Martha. Happy birthday to you.
Yesterday was Pauline's birthday.
Yeah.
Let's sing to Pauline.
And I spoke with her yesterday, and she's doing okay.
One of the founders of this august institution. Happy birthday to Pauline.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Holly. Happy birthday to you.
And now,
We have an anniversary,
we have an anniversary. And what day was it?
17.
Oh, the 17th.
I don't remember.
Mitch Walking Elk sang and danced in full regalia at our wedding. Here we go.
Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary, dear Ted. Happy anniversary to you.
Okay, our next song is Instant Karma. It's in the White Book, and that's in alphabetical order, so look under the eyes. Lots for the tape.
Okay, good to see everybody. Can you hear me? How about now?
Fountain's blowing for our battery.
That works for me.
Let's try it again. Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see you here today. I have two things in particular that I wanted to talk about. One is, in case you came in and went straight to your seat and you did not notice the wonderful table back there that's got these great pumpkins on them. Did Sue do these?
That's
Sue King?
no, Susan.
Made,
Susan Ralston.
and Susan Ralston, okay, made these for us for our for the Little 5 Point Halloween Parade. But we didn't have enough people that were going to participate, so we brought they brought the pumpkins here, and you can have your own first Eve pumpkin if you'll want to look at that table back there. All of the donations go to the Valdosta fund that we're putting together, and later during the service we'll have our second and last pass the plate for those in Valdosta that have suffered greatly because of the hurricane. So keep that in mind and check out the cool pumpkins. The second thing is, I have to say, I'm a huge dog fan. D-A-W-G-S. And so, of course, I loved the football game last night. However, I was very, very upset with the news because I had gotten a note, text message from Betsy and Karen about the event that happened on Sapelo Island where a dock collapsed and 7 people were killed. It was a celebration for the Gullah Geechee people down there, and I was appalled that the news spent this much time talking about it. These are descendants of slaves. Now, I don't know specifically who the people were who lost their lives. I don't know specifically who was injured or whatever, but I would assume that because of the fact that it was a Gullah Geechee celebration, that many of the people were either of that community or friends of that community. And I was just, I couldn't believe that the news barely mentioned it. And that disturbed me greatly, and I intend to say something. I happen to be watching WSB because that's the station that the dogs were on. But it just reminds me, and I wonder, and maybe it's not, but I just wonder how much attention would have been given if it had been Buckhead, and something had happened in Buckhead that had taken 7 lives. So please, hold in your heart the families of those that lost loved ones. It's a very small community down there. So I think there are only like 70 people who live on the island, and even a smaller number of those 70 are actual descendants of the slaves. So it's every life lost, of course, is very important, but this community is really suffering, and I hope that you will please keep them in your hearts, and as well as the people in Valdosta and everywhere in the Middle East. Such absurd loss of life for everywhere. Please keep people in your heart that are suffering, and know how grateful that we can be for the life that we have. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. And when we do the offering, we will do first an offering for passing plates for the First Existentialist congregation, and then we will do a second passing for the hurricane recovery effort. We have a few community announcements. Oh, there's one correction today in our Sunday bulletin. Next Sunday's speaker will be Leon Kleinborg.
November 24th. November 24th.
Not next week, like I said, it was November 24th. Sorry to scare you, Leon. Jan Willis is unable to come, so that's why we're switching, and Leon is pinch hitting. Today after the service, be sure to stay for the eat and greet. Mary must leave, who organizes this, but a bit after 12 to get the October cake. So please help set up and get the food, dinnerware out, and so forth to begin. And there's always some volunteers afterwards to put away the tables and chairs. That's an eat and greet today. which is a monthly event every third Sunday. This evening, our speaker today, Mitch Walking Elk, will be holding a concert in the Lake Claire Community Land Trust. There is parking in the church. That's the, what do you call it? Parking.
At the
Oh, the Clifton Sanctuary Ministries, and that's, you know, at the corner of Connecticut and McClendon Avenue right down there. So there's also parking in the area. There will be food since it's a dinner hour starting at 5:30. Please come and support Mitch if you can. And there will be CDs. And also there are CDs in the back on the table of Mitch's music, which, you know, you can look at after the service. And we will have a shuttle, at least one car, at the Clifton Sanctuary Missions Ministries. So that it's about a 2-block walk to the land trust from that parking lot. And like we'll have snacks and refreshments since it's a dinner hour. Coming up this Friday, October 26th, the visual art and music by Swami at 6 to 8 p.m. and it's free. That's this Friday, October 26th.
Here.
Right here.
Here.
Right here.
Friday the 25th, is that right?
Yeah, the 25th.
Can I say something? Swami has a background, he's done a lot of like rock and roll album cover art, and he was working for the Grateful Dead back in the 90s, the early aughts, doing some of their posters.
And one last thing, this is something we all should support. The Little 5 Points business community, each year now, this is the 3rd year, sponsors the First Voices Festival, a celebration of indigenous culture. And that includes a powwow on November 16th and 17th at that soccer field just beyond 7 Stages in the Variety Theater. There's a screening November 29th of at the Plaza Theater, great theater, and that is of Bad River. That's a film that's going around. And November 7th to the 24th, currently running at 7 Stages, is a play, What Are You? And it's written by Nicolette Amulet. It's a one-woman play, and she is addressing what it's like to be monocultural in America. That's November 27th at 7 Stages. And for all these events in the First Voices Festival, you can go to the 7 Stages website and get the details for all the events. Silence is the mother of truth, for the silent man is never to be trusted, while the man ever ready with speech was never taken seriously by indigenous people. That's Chief Luther Standing Bear of the Oglala Lakota Sioux. This is a time that we set aside for silence, about 5 minutes. You're welcome to light candles on either side of the sanctuary, if you have any reason to do so.
hard times it gave me. God bless the blues and the sweet songs that save me. The world needed more beauty, so hard times got a melody. I got the blues all over me. Life wrote the lyrics that gave birth to the sound, that gave man the means to get up when he's down. I prayed for heaven while walking through hell. I got the blues on my mind, the giants in me.
Turn on me.
And God bless the blues and the hard times you gave me. God bless the blues and the sweet songs that save me. Beauty, so hard times got a melody. I got the blues all over me. Hard times each and every day. I prayed for freedom from love and from pain. I got the blues on my mind. And God bless the blues and the hard times it gave me. God bless the blues and the sweet, sweet songs that save me. The world needed more beauty, so hard times got a melody. I got the blues all over me. I got the blues all over me.
You brought tears in my eyes. Okay, yeah, bless the blues. Mitch, you're now on. You have to change your hats and your transition from musician to speaker. And I'll give an extra long introduction to give you enough time to get ready. Our speaker today is Mitch Walking Elk, and he will address the topic, Look Behind the Buckskin Curtain, the Other America. Mitch, when he was 6 years old, was taken from his home, and his grandmother and mother in Miami, Oklahoma, and was sent to the Seneca Indian School run by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It was a cruel place, and he began running away when he was in 3rd grade with the older boys. After adventurous adolescence and young life, he turned to the traditional ways of indigenous people to straighten out his life. And he has been a singer and songwriter for decades. He has 7 recordings to his credit. In 2013, he won the Native American Music Awards Best Blues Recording, and he's performed throughout the United States, Mexico, South America, Japan, and especially annual tours in Europe. While he was living in Minneapolis for decades, he coordinated the Indigenous Youth Ceremonial Mentoring Society, in which a select group of indigenous youth in the St. Paul School District learned traditional ceremonial life ways of Indigenous Tribal Nations. And he took a group of youth to the Vatican to request the Pope to rescind the doctrine of discovery, which contributed to the devastation of indigenous societies throughout the world. He has been a sun dancer and conducts sweat lodge ceremonies and healing ceremonies. And he has been a member of the American Indian movement since 1974. And in addition to all of that, long years ago, he saved my life in a dive bar, but we won't go into those details. Please welcome Mitch Walking Elk.
I remember that night very well. So, thank you, Craig, for the use of the guitar.
Oh, you bet.
And yeah, I used my own strap.
You know, the other strap was Andy's anyway. We didn't know how it was going to work.
Yeah. And I'll say thank you to my friend Wade. We go back a long ways. I got 20 minutes. I know that, so might go a little bit farther. I came back from Europe on the 30th of September from a tour, and woke up the next morning with COVID. And so I still have, if you hear some of the nasal stuff, I'm still regurgitating the COVID from my body, but it's trying to hold on. I'm sure some of you are aware. Man shaking his head down there, yep. I know what you're talking about. So there was a lady standing at a bus stop, holding a baby, waiting for the bus. And the bus pulled up, and she got on the bus and put her money in the receptacle, and the bus driver said, "Lady, you're sure you have an ugly baby?" And she didn't say anything. She went over and sat down next to this other lady, and she said, "That bus driver is really rude. I should go over there and give him a piece of my mind." And the other lady said, "I think you should too. I'll hold your monkey while you do." In Indian country, we have some common sayings. One of them is, we didn't need to be saved before, but now we do. Another saying is, when they came, they had the Bible and we had the land. Now we have the Bible and they have the land. Another saying is, refers to the Bering Strait theory, is that our people came across the Bering Strait theory when the land was attached and when the ice was solid enough for people to... We call this the BS theory. For some reason, it's difficult for people to comprehend or even to recognize the possibility that people went from this area that way. And it's much easier for them to consider that they came this way. And so these are some of the thoughts in Indian country. And I want to share with you, we had a very healthy discussion last night, Wade and his wife and myself. And most of the time when I'm talking about these things, people agree with me, and there was some disagreement last night, a very healthy disagreement, you know, and I appreciated it because it made me dig down deep. Wade brought up that I went to the Vatican, and there's a video, it's called Unmasking the Domination Code. Unmasking the Domination Code. And in the 15th century, various popes made what are called papal decrees. And these decrees, the church at that time declared themselves to be, the Catholic Church at that time declared themselves to be God's representative on earth. And everybody else who didn't believe the way they did was an enemy of Christ. And they gave their explorers the right to, in their exploring, to take any non-Christian lands for the church. And if they deemed the people of those lands to be people, and sometimes they didn't, and before they came to this part of the world, this was already going on in in Africa and in Madagascar and their part of the world. And if they deemed them to be people, then they were to offer them Christianity. If they refused Christianity, then they were to be enslaved, executed, and all of the lands were to be, and the resources, the gifts from the earth were to be taken for the church. And so this is one of the reasons. These are called papal bulls, P-A-P-A-L-B-U-L-L-S. And the video, Unmasking the Domination Code, explains why they are called papal bulls. The papal bulls had some babies. One of them was the doctrine of discovery. The doctrine of discovery is what the countries of the world use, the governments of the world use to lay claim to indigenous lands. That's why the world is colonized to a very great extent. So this is why we went to the Vatican. I was the coordinator, as he mentioned, of the Indigenous Youth Ceremonial Mentoring Society, and it took 9 youth and 5 adults to the Vatican. It took us 17 months, doing our own fundraising. We raised all of our own money, $25,000, bought our own tickets, everybody had to get passports, and a man who had previously been to the Vatican and had met with the Pope, who was in Mohawk from Canada, put me in touch with an attorney in Amsterdam. And the attorney in Amsterdam negotiated a date for us with the Vatican. And so 18 months after we started the process, we went to the Vatican, and we wanted to meet with the Pope, but I guess by this time, individuals and a few groups had met with the Pope concerning the papal bulls, and I guess we weren't considered that important. That's how it made me feel anyway. And so we met with the Vatican officials, and the reason being we called for the revocation, the rescinding, the abrogation of any and all papal bulls. That was worded in the language that I told you. And one of the things that before Columbus came here, the language in the papal bulls already applied to us, because it said what I told you is that the lands were to be taken, we were enemies of Christ, so on and so forth. A lot of our people, probably all of our people, didn't even know about Jesus Christ, you know. And so I want to be very clear and point out that Christianity in and of itself is not the enemy, but the Christian nationalist far right. They have been and are becoming more dominant. And in the state of Oklahoma, where I live right now, we have a man by the name of Ryan Walters, who is the superintendent of education for all the public schools in Oklahoma, and who has declared and decreed that Bibles be placed in all of the schools, and Christianity must be taught in grades 5 through 12. And so this is a continuation of the doctrine of discovery and the papal bulls. I forgot to mention that the countries of Europe, when they discovered what the Catholic Church in Portugal and Spain and Italy had discovered when Columbus came over here, then not to be left out, they started their version of the doctrine of discovery and papal bulls. And so that's why in the South you have a lot of the Catholicism, and in the North you have more of the Protestant or Episcopal preachers. There was a time when the heads of the religion sat down and they divided up Indian country, so to speak. And so the result is we have a lot of people native people who are Christians, and we have some who do both. They do traditional life ways and they do Christianity, and we have some who are just absolute Christians and they deny their own traditional life ways. And so this is a problem with traditional people. But nonetheless, we go on and carry on. If you recall, in the news here, a year or so ago, a couple of years ago, the Pope came to Canada and he repudiated the doctrine of discovery. He didn't say that it was abrogated, rescinded, or revoked. He repudiated it. And he did make some nice statements that the Catholic Church historically had not treated indigenous people very well, and apologized for that. But he didn't revoke any of the doctrine of discoveries. We stopped short when we went to the Vatican. We were told, we met with 6 Vatican officials, we were told that they preferred to focus on the present and the future. And last week, they said, there had 300 young people come to the Vatican, and which they were to help with the present conditions and futuristic goals. And we told them we understand, but what you have to understand is that what your predecessors started here, our people in the Americas are still reeling from the impacts of that. And they said they thought they could learn from us and that they were open to more discussion. And when I got home, I sent them a letter for an additional meeting. That was in 2018, it hasn't happened yet. Another thing that we talked about last night was Standing Rock. And Standing Rock, which is in North Dakota and South Dakota, Energy Transfer Partners wanted to place an oil pipeline under the Missouri River. And at first, you have Bismarck, North Dakota, and Mandan, North Dakota here, and they wanted to put the pipeline under the Missouri River north of those cities. The people of those cities objected. And so they moved it south of the cities, which was still just north of the Standing Rock Reservation. And it created a situation that was a standoff for almost 2 years. And at that point, we were confronted with the police from various states and the National Guard. And they were armed and we weren't. And so At that time, Donald Trump was not president, Obama was president. Obama would not sign the order for the pipeline to go under. And Donald Trump at the time, he had shares in Energy Transfer Partners.
Yeah.
And then, after he became president, he immediately signed the order for the pipeline to go under. And so these are some of the things that were current things that, and recent historical things that we're dealing with in Indian country. And so those are some hard issues, you know, and from our perspectives, for many of us, or some of us, the war is still raging, so to speak. The war is not over, because we have to constantly deal with, there is always a politician in some state, and predominantly where they have large Indian populations that has a solution that's going to help us, but it's really destructive to us. And so we're constantly on guard. We can't let our guard down, and we can't rest. I want to acknowledge, too, also the original people. I live in Oklahoma. The Creek Nation is in Oklahoma now. And I'll tell you this. There's two more things I want to say, and I should be getting close to my timeline here. I'm trying to stay brief, but still tell you things maybe you don't know or you find interesting or might want to research. One of them is in the past 3 years in Oklahoma, there was a man in prison for child molestation. A Creek Indian man. And he filed a lawsuit against the state, stating that the state of Oklahoma didn't have jurisdiction over him. And he won the case. But he didn't get out of prison. The feds came in and snatched him up, and he was sentenced to 40 years for that already. So he's doing his 40 years in a federal prison right now. And what came out from this is that through the Supreme Court, it became known that the Creek Reservation had never been disestablished. It was all of those years that the state of Oklahoma functioned as if the reservation had been established, and they had to know, it was determined that it was still a reservation. And from that, the Cherokee, the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, and the Seminole, those Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Seminole, and Creek are called in Oklahoma the 5 civilized tribes. They're called that because they were in this area and in Georgia and Carolina and so on and so forth. And so they had contact with the people who came over from Europe a couple of hundred years before the Cheyenne and the Arapaho did. And so these other 4 tribes, they also filed suit. And their reservations were found to never have been disestablished. And then in the corner where I live in the state of Oklahoma, there are 8 tribes. And the Peoria, the Miami, and it's Miami. In Oklahoma, it's Miami, not Miami. And the Quapaw filed suit, and so their reservations were reestablished also. So the entire third of the state of Oklahoma is now reservation. They call it Indian country again. And so it doesn't apply to lands and tribes farther west of Idaho. So that's one thing I want to enlighten you about and share with you. The other thing is this. I want to end with this. So we have a ceremony among my tribes. It's called the Sundance ceremony, and it's an ancient ceremony, and there are songs that go with it, and it's held annually. It's either, depending on which tribe you're from, it's 3 days or 4 days of fasting and dancing in a certain way, and lots of ceremonial protocol that go with it. And I had heard that if you, in the morning when you first see the sun coming up, if you start singing a Sundance song, then by the time you will have sung it 4 times, the sun will have risen completely. And so I moved to Oklahoma in 1984, and I went to work for my tribe, and things started to fall apart. I lost my job, my car was going putt-putt, staying in a hotel at the generosity of a real Indian from India. And several really stressful time. And so I thought I have to do something to break this hardship. And so I remembered this, what I had been told about the sun coming up and singing the sunlight song. So I took I carry a ceremonial pipe. So I went out while it was still dark, and I loaded my pipe. And when I seen that sun first come over the horizon, I started singing the sunlight song. And, well, it depends on how long the song is, how fast you sing, how slow you sing, whatever. But after the sun came up, and you're making a prayer. You know, those songs are prayers. Yeah. And I smoked my pipe. And later that day, the woman I was married to at the time, and we had a toddler, we were having such a hard time, we had to go to the WIC office and get some food to eat. And my wife was taking care of the business, and while she was doing that, I was walking around just amusing myself, I guess you could say. And there was a long hallway. And at the end of the hallway was a door. And on that door was a little piece of paper. And I thought, I wonder what that is. And so I walked down there, and it said, "The sun." I am the sun. A long time ago, Indian people used to rise early in the morning to greet me. But there's not so many that do that anymore. But for those who do, I have some gifts to share with them. I have the power to give light. I have the power to give warmth. And I have the power to make things grow. And for those who get up in the morning to share to greet me, I share these gifts with them. And so that became a prayer of mine, sometimes in the morning. Not all the time, but sometimes in the morning. I get up and I face east with tobacco. Tobacco is a whole other story, but tobacco is what we use to pray. You can also pray with food. And I greet the sun and I ask it to share, to continue to share those gifts with me. The ability to give light, the ability to give warmth, and the ability to make things grow. So I would say to you, if you had those gifts, and you do to some extent, everybody does, but if you made that prayer, what could you do? What could you accomplish? And so, in closing, I give that to you this morning. Aho.
Thank you, Mitch. Powerful message.
Team Heinrich is going to join us and lead us in the last song.
Why? We never took up the other.
Wait, second collection.
We never took up the second collection.
Oh, I thought we were doing that right after. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's go ahead and collect for the. Do you want to do that during the song, or do you want to? Okay. Let's do this collection for the Valdosta and other hurricane recovery. Wow. Thank you, Gene. Our closing words. I do not think the measure of a civilization is how tall its buildings of concrete are, but rather how well its people have learned to relate to their environment and fellow man. Sun Bear Ojibwa. Well, this concludes our celebration of life today. And please, if you can, join us for the meet and greet after the service. And please, if you can, join Mitch Walking Elk in his concert at the Lake Claire Community Land Trust at 5:30. Let's give Mitch some support if we can. And anyway, let's go out and enjoy the day and walk with the power to give light.
Yeah.
Carpe diem.
Yeah.